are listening to a Melody's Ambience podcast. Hello, my name is Melody, and welcome to Melody's Ambience Sleep. This podcast is about helping you relax, unwind, and drift off into a peaceful night's sleep. Each episode usually has 25 minutes of calming ambient sounds and soothing music, paired with a new story or poem, read by me in my soothing voice. However, this special episode will have something a little different. I watch the quiet, persistent surge of spring through the folklore of the green man and the timeless traditions of May Day. Since this episode is going to be a little different, then let's begin. The Green Man. The curtains in my bedroom are thin enough to let the first weak light of the morning filter through. I wake just before the dawn chorus reaches its peak, listening to the rhythmic rustle of the breeze through the canopy. There is a soft, gray start to the day, where the air holds a damp chill that clings to everything. There is no frost this morning, only a heavy dew that turns the meadow into a sea of silver. I pull on a thick woolen jumper and step out onto the porch, the flagstones cold beneath my boots. The sky is a pale wash of pearl and violet, promising a bit of sun later if the wind keeps blowing across the valley. Living here, on the very hem of the ancient woods, I feel the seasons shift in my bones before I see them in the trees. May Day isn't just a date on a calendar to me. It is a physical crossing of a threshold. From my garden gate, the forest looks like a wall of deep, smoky emerald. The bluebells are out in force now, carpeting the floor in a way that makes the ground look as fluid as a lake. It is a quiet time of year, despite the growth. The birds are busy, but the human world feels far away, tucked behind the rolling hills and the winding country lanes. I spend the morning gathering what the hedgerows offer. I do not need much to mark the day, just a few sprigs of hawthorn and some early rowan leaves. The tradition of bringing the May into the house is a bit of a superstition in these parts, but it feels right. It acknowledges that the winter sleep is finally over, and the house can breathe again with the windows thrown wide to the scent of damp earth. As the sun climbs higher, it begins to burn through the morning mist, casting long, slanted shadows across the grass. I walk toward the edge of the trees, where the oaks stand like sentinels. This is where the Green Man lives, at least in the mind. He isn't a ghost or a god to me, but a way of describing that sudden, violent surge of life that happens when the sap rises and the buds finally burst. in the old carvings on the church down the road, his face is made of leaves, berries spilling from his mouth. Out here, I see him in the way the ivy twists around the ash trunks, or how the moss cushions the roots. He represents the wildness that does not care for garden fences or property lines. He is the spirit of the thicket, a reminder that the world is very much alive and slightly indifferent to us. There is a specific stillness in the air today. The wind drops, and the only sound is the occasional crack of a dry branch or the distant lowing of cattle in the meadow. I find a spot on a fallen log and sit for a while, watching the light change. The green is so bright it almost hurts the eyes, that vivid neon shade that only lasts for a week or two before the dust of summer settles. To live this close to the woods is to accept a certain kind of solitude. Children in the village will be dancing around the maypole later, weaving ribbons of red and white. But I prefer the version of May Day that happens in the shadows. The ribbons I see are the honeysuckle vines climbing toward the canopy, tethering the earth to the sky in their own slow, deliberate way. The tradition of the Green Man is about the cycle of return. Every year we think the winter might never end, that the gray will stay forever. And every year he proves us wrong. He breaks through the soil and pushes through the bark. It's a comforting thought that resilience is baked into the very dirt I walk on. By midday, the temperature climbs enough for me to leave my coat on the gatepost. The scent of the woods changes, becoming earthy and sweet as the sun warms the damp ground. I move deeper into the trees, following a path that usually stays hidden until the bracken dies back. The canopy is starting to close over, creating a green cathedral that hums with the vibration of insects. I think about the people who lived in this cottage centuries ago. They would have watched the same birds and feared the same storms. They would have decorated their doors with the same greenery, hoping for a good harvest and a mild summer. There is a sense of continuity in these rituals that makes the modern world feel very small and temporary. It isn't about worship or even belief, but about a shared pulse. When I look at the gnarled bark of an old hawthorn, I see a face if I stare long enough. It's just the way our minds work, trying to find a human connection in the wild. The Green Man is our way of personifying the untamable, giving a name to the farce that turns a brown twig into a flowering branch. I head back to the house as the shadows begin to lengthen. The woodland air is heavy with the scent of wild garlic, bringing a sharp, fresh pungency to the garden. I spend the afternoon tidying the stone walls tucking stray bits of stone back into place. Even the walls seem to want to grow today, covered in tiny ferns and liverwort that thrive in the spring rains. There is a peace that comes with this particular holiday. Unlike the frantic energy of midsummer, May Day is about potential. It is the morning of the year. Everything is still fresh, unburnt by the sun and untouched by the autumn decay. It's a moment of perfect balance, where the shadows are long, but the light is kind. I make a simple meal and eat it by the open door, watching the swallows swoop low over the field. They have come a long way to be here for this day. Their arrival is as much a part of the local law as any maypole or Morris dance. They are the heralds of the green man, the quick, dark shapes that stitch the sky together. The evening is cooling down now, the sky turning a deep, bruised plum color over the tree line. The woods are falling silent, the birds settling into their nests. The green man retreats into the dark, his leafy face merging back into the foliage until tomorrow. He does not need to be seen to be felt. The evidence of his work is everywhere I look. I light a small fire in the hearth, not because it is freezing, but to acknowledge the end of the day. The wood smoke drifts up and mixes with the scent of the bluebells blooming in the shade. It's a beautiful smell, earth, smoke, and blossom. It makes the cottage feel like a safe harbor against the vastness of the trees. This ritual of mine, this quiet observation, is how I keep time. In the city, months are marked by bills and deadlines, but here they are marked by the height of the grass and the return of the light. May Day is the most important marker of them all, the point where the world finally commits to being green again. As I get ready for bed, I hear the owls starting their shift in the oaks. The house is quiet, settled into its foundations. The dampness of the morning is replaced by a dry, cool evening air that promises a clear night for stargazing. I feel a deep sense of contentment, a feeling of being exactly where I am supposed to be. I leave the window cracked open tonight, just enough to hear the leaves whispering to each other. The green man is out there, watching over the foxes and the nesting birds, and I can rest easy knowing the cycle holds firm. Tomorrow will be another day of growth, but for now, the forest and the cottage are at peace. Dear listener, I hope the quiet rhythm of these words finds you in a place of rest. There's something profoundly steadying about the turn of the seasons. No matter how heavy the world feels or how loud the noise becomes, the green world carries on with its slow, certain work. It reminds us that we, too, have the capacity to start again, to push through the cold ground and find the light when the timing is right. If you are currently in a season of waiting or feeling a bit tucked away in the shadows, try to remember the green man in the woods. He does not rush the spring. He simply prepares for it in the dark. Your own growth is often happening in ways you cannot yet see, beneath the surface and out of sight. Just as the bluebells wait for May, your moment to bloom is already written into the fabric of things. Take a deep breath and let the stillness of the cottage and the forest settle into your heart. You belong to this world, and you are part of its ancient, resilient pulse. There is a great deal of beauty ahead of you, much like the bright, neon leaves of the oaks, waiting to catch the sun. Be patient with yourself while you find your way, and trust that the warmth is always on its way back to you. Sleep well tonight, knowing that the cycle holds and that you are exactly where you need to be. The birds will sing again at dawn, and the world will be a little more vibrant than it was yesterday. You are doing a wonderful job simply being here, and I am sending you all the strength and peace you might need for the journey ahead. With all my love, Melody. Thank you so much for listening. In the next episode, we will return to the usual ambience of calm and peace.